Michael Crick, let me start with you as a BBC man for so many years. What do you make of this? Obviously, we don't, as things stand, really know exactly what has happened here. There's claim and counterclaim, but we do know that a very senior BBC presenter has been suspended by the corporation, and we do know that apparently the first allegations were made to the BBC about his conduct back in May. So what do we make of this?
Well, I think tonight it looks rather less serious for the BBC than it did, say, 12 hours ago. First of all, we've had the Metropolitan Police today saying at this stage they're not investigating, which rather suggests that they don't think the evidence that they're aware of so far is strong enough. But then, much more important, is this statement by the lawyers for this young man that the Sun story is a load of rubbish, and that he actually contacted the Sun to tell them that on Friday. Well, I mean, you're a former tabloid editor. What was the editor of the Sun? What was the Sun newspaper doing, going ahead and defaming an unnamed member of the BBC staff on the basis of an experience by a young man that the young man denied? I mean, it seems to me that all of this attack, all of your monologue just now is all about attacking the BBC. I think the Sun newspaper, the Murdoch empire, has a lot to answer tonight. And frankly, one has to wonder whether the articles that the Sun has been running over the last few days are all part of that ongoing war between Mr. Murdoch and his newspapers and the British Broadcasting Corporation.
I mean, I think the Sun has been pretty robust in its response.
No,
Clearly,
it hasn't. It was a pathetic response tonight. That response tonight didn't...
I'm not, just to be clear, I'm not involved in the inner workings of the Sun on this. I have no inside knowledge of what evidence they had. All I've seen their statement, and it's clear that the mother of the alleged victim has clearly been talking freely to the Sun, apparently for no payment, about all this. So clearly the truth is going to emerge, and like I say, we don't actually know, as things stand, where that truth lies. And the Sun, of course, took a decision not to name the presenter. Let me bring in Nadine Dorries. I mean, Nadine, Michael Crick raises some interesting questions there, but again, we're all slightly guessing, aren't we, about what has really happened here. But is it right, as many believe, that the BBC, in the way they've handled this, once again seem to be lacking?
So, yeah, again, it seems like it doesn't matter what crisis threatens to engulf the BBC, and there have been many over a number of years, they seem completely unable to be on the front foot and to have a robust set of processes in place to deal with complaints as they happen. Part of the BBC's problem is that they just don't seem to be able to deal with issues as they arrive. And one would have thought the experience they've had, whether it's been with Frank Bath or Gary Lineker, or whether it's Jimmy Savile or whoever, whichever situation arises, you'd think that by now they've got enough experience with dealing with a potential crisis to know what to do, how to do it, how to protect their own brand, which is the BBC, and also how to make sure that they deal with the complaints effectively. Because, you know, at the back of all of these complaints, there are always real lives and real people and real victims. And that's part of the tragedy. If they could just get on the front foot and deal with things quickly and effectively, then a lot of hurt would be saved all round. And I think that's part of the problem. It's an inefficiency and an inability to deal with what are very serious problems. And, you know, you're quite right in your opening comments. The BBC is paid for by the British public, by licence fee payers, and that's not a cheap cost to people who are struggling with cost of living at the moment. You know, the BBC has a responsibility to the people that it serves, and sometimes it just acts as though the only people the BBC have to satisfy are the BBC, is the BBC itself, and it isn't. It should be accountable, it should be transparent, and it has to answer to the public. And that's sometimes what it forgets and what it always fails to do.